Good morning. We're going to give a few moments for people to come in from the waiting room and join. As a reminder, please mute yourself unless you are appearing or testifying before the board. Good morning. This is a hearing before the licensing board for the city of Boston. Today is Tuesday, January 4th, 2022. Today's hearing is being held pursuant to temporary amendments to the open meeting law. That is what allows us to meet virtually. Today's hearings will be recorded and posted to the City of Boston website. Before I will review procedural matters, I will introduce Chairwoman Kathleen Joyce.
Thank you, Maureen. Good morning. My name is Kathleen Joyce. I'm chair of the Boston Licensing Board, and today I'm joined by my fellow commissioners, Commissioner Liam Curran and Commissioner Kiana Saxon.
Please ensure your audio and visuals are working properly. I will call each item in the order as it appears on the agenda. I will then ask who is present on behalf of the licensee, who is present on behalf of the Boston Police Department, and whether there are any individuals with knowledge of the alleged incident. I will swear in all parties. After that, the police will read the report into record. The licensee or representative will have the opportunity to make a brief statement, followed by questions by the chairwoman and commissioners. Again, all testimony will be limited to individuals with personal knowledge of the alleged incident. Calling item number 1, Congress Fine Dining LLC, DBA Lucky's, location 355 to 359 Congress Street. Violation number 0100097. Date of alleged incident 7/23/21. Assault and battery, patron on patron, in violation of Mass General Law, Chapter 138, Section 64, Chapters 265, Section 13A. Who is present on behalf of the licensee?
Good morning.
Morning, ma'am. Oh, sorry.
Sorry. Morning, Madam Chair, members. Morning. It's Dennis Quilty, attorney representing the licensee, and I see Nelson Burns, who's the GM, is with us as well.
And who is present on behalf of the Boston Police?
Hi, I'm John Fondas. I'm a detective signed to Station 6, and I wrote the violation.
And are there anyone with individual or personal knowledge of the alleged incident who wish to testify?
Other than that, I spoke to people involved in the incident.
We have a hand raised by Antonio. Does he wish to testify, or is that a mistake? It looks like he's still connecting, so we can go forward, Maureen, with those that just said they're here to testify.
Can you all raise your right hand? Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Yes, I do.
Detective, you can proceed with the police report.
Okay, would you just want me to read the one
narrative.
into the record?
Yeah.
You got it. 11:30 p.m. Friday, July 23rd, 2021. Officer Coleman responded. I'm sorry. I thought somebody was looking for me. Assigned to the 432 unit, responded to a radio call for assault and battery in progress at 355 Congress Street, South Boston, Lucky's Lounge. On arrival, Officer Coleman spoke with the victim, Christine Lewis, and witness Jeremiah Lewis, who stated an unknown suspect knocked the victim to the ground. The victim stated she broke her teeth on the pavement. Officer Coleman observed the victim had broken front teeth and lacerations to her head and face. Boston EMS responded. Officer Coleman spoke to the manager of Lucky's Lounge, Nelson Burns, who stated his staff assisted the injured victim with a bag of ice. The manager of Lucky's Lounge stated the incident occurred outside of the bar. The manager stated there are cameras facing Congress Street. The manager, Burns, stated the cameras face further down Congress Street than A Street and Congress, where the incident occurred. Officers spoke with Lucky's Lounge security, Mr. Frank Hart, who stated that he observed 2 unknown white non-Hispanic males with white T-shirts, one with a backwards hat, engaging in horseplay, flee the area. after the victim was knocked to the ground. There's a second one that I wrote, just documenting that a violation was written. I can read that in or just take it as is. That was written on July 24th, 2021. Just documenting that we wrote a violation.
Thank you.
Yep.
Attorney Quilty or?
Thank you. If I may just briefly, Officer, your notice indicated that the management cooperated with you. Is that correct?
100%. We reviewed a lot of video with them. I pulled video from traffic camera at Congress and A, which was pointing in the opposite direction, picked up nothing. We don't have the incident on video either. Lucky's camera didn't capture it because of the way it was positioned, not their fault. As far as I can tell, the incident didn't happen inside Lucky's. It might have, as the report reads, been horseplay outside, uninvolved with Lucky's. That's what I found so far, and I haven't found anything to contradict that. I spoke to the victims who mirrored the story that they were outside and got bumped into, and the poor woman fell down and hurt herself. So that's where we're at. I was asked to write the violation by, I'm not even sure who, I think one of my superior officers or whatnot. So that's why this violation was written.
Officer, thank you for that information. It certainly appears from the report that this happened outside, and Mr. Burns, who was present, is here with us. You've been sworn, Mr. Burns. Can I ask him a few questions, Madam Chair?
Sure, please go ahead.
Thank you. And Officer, thank you very much for your
No problem. We do
testimony.
have video of the inside after the incident where Lucky's staff was assisting the victims. Because the victims, I guess, came back in looking for help or something or whatnot. But that was the only part of the incident that was captured
Thank
on
you, sir.
video, as far as
Thank
I
you.
know, you know.
Yes, sir.
Yep.
Thank you very much. And that would be consistent with what Mr. Burns is going to tell you, that this, as far
Sure.
as he knows, happened outside the premises, people that were not in Lucky's at any point in time. The woman literally was bumped into by somebody. Apparently there was an event nearby going on, and there were a lot of people in the street, and this person just got knocked into and fell to the ground. Mr. Burns, did you assist these people after they were injured?
I did. I went and I got them an ice pack, and our server got them some rags and to clean up the blood. And I think at one point she was brought into the bathroom to try to rinse out her mouth or by the server. And then we had her out on the curb waiting for the ambulance with the ice pack and the gauze.
Okay. And to your knowledge, were either of these folks or the individuals engaged in so-called horseplay, were any of these people ever patrons of Lucky's?
Not to my knowledge, no. They were. There was a bunch of people out in the street. There was a harpoon fest down the street that I'd gotten out earlier. So the Seaport Cisco Brewery had gotten out, I believe. So there was just like hundreds of people walking in the streets that night. And I believe it was completely non-malicious what happened to this person. She got bumped into by someone in the street, tripped over them and fell, and then unfortunately knocked out her teeth.
Thank you, sir. The board may have some questions for you.
Chairwoman Joyce?
Thank you. I think you asked the question, but just to get on the record again, Mr. Burns, you don't recall either of these suspects inside Lucky's at all that night?
I do not.
Okay, thank you. I don't have any questions. Commissioner Curran or Commissioner Saxon?
No questions, thanks.
Not for me either. Thank you.
Thank you. The board will take this matter under advisement.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. You got it.
Calling item number 2, Game on Fenway LLC, DBA Game on Sports Cafe, location 72 to 82 Lansdowne. Violation number 026304, date of the incident 7/31/21. Offer or deliver any free drinks to any person or groups of persons in violation of Mass General Law, Chapter 138, Section 64, and Board's Rule 1.08C. Who is present on behalf of the licensee?
Ms. Burgoyne, Dennis Quilty again, and members of the board representing the applicant. With me is Joseph Hicks, who is the general manager.
How you doing?
There he is.
I'm here.
Got it.
Who is present on behalf of the Boston Police Department?
Detective Leah Baggis.
And Sergeant Detective Donald Keenan, I'm on the call.
And is there any other individual with personal knowledge of alleged incident who wish to testify?
Me, Abigail Faria.
Can you all raise your,
Is it possible for the police officers to put the cameras on?
I'm trying to figure out how to do that on the phone. If someone can give me any direction, usually, oh, wait, I think I might have figured it out. Okay,
Yeah.
can you all raise your right hand? Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
I do.
And Sergeant or Detective, who's gonna read the report into the record?
I will. The original incident is as follows. So the following is the original incident narrative. About 3 p.m. on Saturday, July 31st, 2021, Officer Burke took a walk-in report at the front desk of District D14 for a possible drugging at 82 Lansdowne at Game On. The reporting parties, and Alyssa Martini and an Abigail Faria, stated to the officer that they believe they may have been drugged sometime last night while at Game On, located at Lansdowne Street on the basement floor of this location. Martini and Faria stated to the officer that while they were on Game On, they received a free round of shots of a clear alcoholic liquid, which they believed to be some type of vodka. Both parties stated over the course of the night, over an approximate 3-hour span, they both had about 5 to 6 drinks. Both parties stated that 5 to 6 drinks over that time frame would not cause them to black out or become sick. Both parties stated that the free drink they received tasted foul, strange. However, they did not think anything of it at the time. The parties also stated that they did go over to Lansdowne Pub at 1 a.m. Martini stated she had trouble remembering anything from 12 to 4 a.m. timeframe. Martini stated that she does somewhat remember having trouble getting into her apartment about 4:40 a.m. and having her roommates help her. Faria stated she remembers getting into an Uber to head home about 1:40 a.m., but does not remember much between that when she woke up around 9 a.m. in a state of half undressed, which is unusual. Faria stated she remembers moments of being sick throughout the night, but that is all. Faria stated that she received text messages from an unknown phone number from an unknown male the morning from a 508-542-8707, stating that he had met them last night in front of her apartment. Faria Martini found this strange. Both parties reported that they had a third friend with them who suffered from memory loss the night before, but did not wish to report it. Both parties say they do not believe they were assaulted, but they were concerned if they were drugged and wanted the incident documented in case something similar happens. And then at 8:30 a.m. on August 8th, 2021, Sergeant Detective Keenan and myself, Detective Baggis, responded to 82 Lansdowne Street, Game On, to issue a code 35 license premise examination. License premise violation.
Thank you, Detective. Attorney Quilty?
Yes, if I may, thank you. Detective, the inspection notice indicates that on July 31st, these individuals, it was a walk into the station, is that correct?
Yes.
And they were suggesting that something had occurred the evening before, which would be July 30th.
Yes.
And the inspection notice was delivered to the establishment on August 7th, approximately a little over a week later, is that correct?
That sounds correct.
Okay. And you indicated at the time that the management cooperated with you, is that correct also?
Yes, they did.
Can you, I know one of the individuals is here, but excuse me, these individuals didn't state in the police report that they made a complaint or an inquiry or said anything to anyone at the licensed premise. Was there anything different stated to you?
No.
And it indicates in the narrative as well that they apparently, there were 3 to 4, 3-hour span of 5 to 6 drinks, and then subsequently they went to another establishment, the Lansdowne Pub, at approximately 1 a.m.
That is a correct summation of events.
And it doesn't appear from this that they made any complaint or inquiry or statement to any staff member at the Lansdowne Pub either.
No.
And was there ever an indication, it doesn't appear in your report, an indication that the indication, the report seemed to state that they told you that they quote unquote believed they may have been drugged. Is there any indication as to who might have done this? Did they suggest a person or an individual or, a patron, an employee? Did they give you any information on this?
They thought it might have possibly been the bartender from some conversations that we had. So we did look into speaking with the staff members at Game On, and no one had anything to report regarding any kind of suspicious activity like that.
Okay. Thank you very much, Detective. Is the other individual going to testify?
Abby?
Yes.
Was there, I'm sorry, was there another Boston police officer who wished to testify or no?
Sergeant Detective Keenan, I'm on the call. I just want to follow up with that. The people reporting this, Alyssa, Miss Ferreira and her friend Alyssa, reported that they met an individual later that evening who corroborated that they were in pretty tough shape, and they looked like they were either really intoxicated or possibly on some type of drugs, probably closer to 2 a.m.
Okay,
And that was in Brighton after they had left the Lansdowne Street area.
okay, thank you.
Madam Chair, may I just inquire? Does that appear anywhere? It doesn't seem to appear anywhere in these reports.
No, it doesn't. That was during a phone conversation I had with the individual. What happened was this person met them outside of when they got out of their Uber. One of the females had dropped or lost her phone, and they asked this individual for assistance. They had his phone number, which was provided to me by the female victim, and stated, so I made that follow-up call to this individual who stated that he did run into them and that they were intoxicated or possibly could have been on drugs. And after a few minutes, he separated from them.
So this is after the incident is alleged to have happened after they had gotten an Uber or a car ride home, and they ran into somebody outside their apartment. Is that what happened?
That's correct. That's what I'm reporting.
And the person then corroborated their physical condition at the time, but didn't corroborate anything about what may have happened.
Exactly.
Is this the person who, with the unknown male with the 508 phone number?
Well, yes, he's known to me. I end up having contact with him. His name is Bobby Butler. He was just passing by, leaving a friend's house.
Okay. All right. So he didn't tell you that he knew anything about an incident earlier in the evening?
No, like I said, he just corroborated the level of intoxication or possibly drug use. He stated that they were, in his words, that they looked like they had a really rough night, and one of them was actually vomiting while he was walking away from them.
And officer, or detective, can you just tell me that there seem to be a couple of different timeframes here? One of the individuals stated she got home at 4:40 a.m. and the other individual stated she got into an Uber at 1:40 a.m. Do we know what time this person saw them? Was it 4 o'clock in the morning?
Yeah, no, that was so it appears that they got in the Uber closer to 1:40-ish in the Lansdowne Street area, and arrived in Brighton short time after that. And that is the time this individual, Mr. Butler, came across them. So the person I believe who's going to speak, Abby, is coming up next. She stayed at that location for approximately 2 hours. And that's where you're getting the time difference, the 1:40 to the 4 a.m. time difference. She ended up going to her own apartment from there. That's where
Okay,
This is two conversations
Thank you.
with the.
okay. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. I have
Abby,
no
you
further
wish to
questions of
speak?
the officers.
Okay, so we have no further questions for the officers. Would Ms. Faria like to say a few words?
Yeah, so on the evening of July 30th, my two friends and I, we're all 23-year-old women, believed that we had date rape drugs put in the drinks we ordered at the Game On bar in the Fenway area. Prior to going to the bar, we had been hanging out in my apartment in Alston for a few hours. We estimate that we each consumed about only 1 or 2 drinks before deciding to take an Uber there. We all felt sober. Once we were there, we ordered a drink each from the bar, and the bartender oddly gave us a free shot, and we thought it was odd that he had poured out one for himself and then dumped it out. The shot tasted very weird. We kind of got bored. We didn't really interact with anyone else there. So we don't see how else someone could have put something in our drink. We quickly, soon after that, left for the Lansdowne bar because we just wanted to go somewhere else. At this point in time, my memory becomes very, very spotty. I do remember heading straight to the bathroom at the Lansdowne bar. And then I also remember Alyssa being on the ground on the sidewalk outside of the bar, couldn't even stand up. I was also sitting next to her, did not feel okay. I remember the bouncers outside giving us water bottles. Apparently we got into an Uber. I don't recall ordering an Uber or getting in it, but I do remember vomiting profusely on the sidewalk outside of my apartment after getting out of the Uber. And then my roommate reported I vomited a lot in our bathroom inside of our apartment. The next morning I woke up. I didn't have clothes on. I woke up on the floor of my bedroom. Both of my friends I was with had left at that point in time. They left early in the morning, but I believe that we all sort of fell, and again, given what my roommate told me, we all sort of temporarily fell asleep on my living room area on the couches there. And then they woke up early in the morning and left. One of our friends completely lost her phone, and a stranger about half the mile up the street had found it. Again, in total, we estimate that we consumed about 5 drinks each total throughout the entire night, over the course of several hours, which is not nearly enough to put us in the incapacitated state that we were all in. At one point, Alyssa FaceTimed her friend who said that she couldn't even speak a single word. And then the next morning on the 31st, Alyssa and I walked down the street to the Brighton Police Department, where we started reporting everything that we knew and piecing things together to Sergeant Keenan.
Thank you.
May I
Attorney-
inquire, ma'am?
Excuse
Madam
me?
Chair, may I inquire of the witness?
Yeah, I was just going to turn to you.
Okay,
You may
thank
go
you.
ahead. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'm sorry, ma'am, what's your last name is Martini? No,
Priya.
Freya, I'm sorry. Ms. Freya, the police report which you gave, you went into the station and gave her a report and it was written down.
Yes.
And it indicated that over the time at the bar, you had 5 to 6 drinks apiece?
Not at the bar. We were estimating between being at my apartment beforehand and then throughout the night at the 2 bars.
So that would include the drinks you had at your apartment beforehand?
Yes. And we also, I don't have any memory of it, but there were like photos on my phone of us each having a drink at the Lansdowne bar. But at that point, my memory was gone.
So the 5 to 6 included the one or whatever you had at the Lansdowne pub as well.
Yeah.
And I just have to ask you a question. Why, if you believe something had occurred to you in this establishment, why did you not say anything to anybody, any manager, door person, staff person, bartender? Why didn't you say something?
I was we were all just kind of incapacitated. I have very little memory of it. The last thing that I fully remember is ordering the drink and then just kind of wandering around the Game On bar for a few minutes. I wasn't, again, I wasn't, my roommate reported when we got back to my apartment that I couldn't really speak, and that Alyssa, again, called her friend, or her friend called her at some point in the night, and he too reported that she couldn't speak. We weren't in a state to, and we figured the next morning, once we came to, that the best thing for us to do was to take it to the police department at that point in time, because it wasn't until the next morning when I woke up that I was fully conscious and could process what had just happened. So that's why we went down the street to the Brighton Police Department.
But let me just go back in time a little bit. You suggested, the police report suggests that you told the police that the drink that you think was caused the problem tasted foul and strange.
Mhm.
And if that's the case, and that's relatively early in the night, and your wits are about you at this time, why did you not say something to anybody? Why not complain? Why not point out to the manager what had happened? Why did you just decide to keep going and then go to another bar and say nothing there and then end up at home? I just don't, the time frame, I don't know. Why didn't you say something?
Again, it was like a straight liquor shot. He didn't tell us what it was. It was given to us for free too. So
Who did that?
The bartender. And I mean, obviously liquor on its own isn't, sometimes it does taste a little foul. And we just thought it was maybe some weird type of vodka, and we kind of just chalked it up to that in the moment. But very soon after, I completely lost my memory and was not really conscious and with it.
But I'm sorry to continue asking this, but after not feeling well and being unconscious, you went to another bar at 1 o'clock in the morning.
At that point, my memory was kind of.
Attorney Clover, I think that's been established. I think the events have been established. Are they not clear to you? They're clear to me. They're written out. You've questioned them several times.
Yeah, well, there's an allegation that something was provided to them. I'd like to know by whom.
She stated it was the bartender.
Well, I find it unusual that she wouldn't have said that to somebody at the establishment.
You can continue. You can continue, because then we'll get to the other questions.
Did you identify the bartender?
I mean, we reported kind of details of what we had remembered of him, kind of physical appearance wise, to the police, but we don't know the name or anything.
But so the police report indicates you received a quote unquote free round, but it does not indicate from whom. Did somebody buy you a drink?
No.
Okay.
We really did not interact with anyone else who was in the bar. We weren't there for very long at all.
And did you describe the bartender to the police?
Yes.
And you heard the police officer say earlier that they went back to the establishment about a week later.
Yes.
And asked questions, et cetera. And they had your description. Yet it doesn't appear as though they were able to name anybody as having done this.
Yeah. That was what I was told.
Thank you, ma'am. Appreciate it. Madam Chair, if I may just make a brief closing look. This is a horrible situation. I apologize on behalf of the establishment for these people getting sick. We have no knowledge of anyone in the establishment having provided these people with free drinks. Mr. Hicks is here as the general manager. They have a very strict policy against free drinks being given out. This was a week later when they were told about this. That's the first, that their knowledge was a week later. They went over everything with staff that were on that night. They cooperated with the police. We have no indication that this was anybody on staff or anybody involved with the establishment who provided anything free or anything doctored to these individuals. Again, I mean, this is a horrible situation, but the establishment had nothing to do with this. It's Mr. Hicks, are you with us?
I am.
Or were you on duty on this night?
I was not.
Have you reviewed this incident with the staff members who were on duty?
I have.
And did you interface with the police?
I did. I spoke with the. I
Did you
spoke.
cooperate with the police? Go over your list of employees with the police?
I went over everything with the police. I did my best and gave the police all the information that they asked for. Yes.
Did you personally interview members of your staff with regard to anyone having served a free drink to these individuals?
I did. I went to each bartender, every employee that worked there that night, all the bartenders. I asked them individually, did you give out free? No. No one said that they gave out free drinks.
And have you any reason to doubt what they told you?
They're all experienced bartenders that have been with us a very long time. And I know most of them personally. And nothing like this has ever happened before with any of them.
Thank you, sir. The board may have some questions for you.
I do. The offer and delivery of free drinks by a staff person to patrons is a very serious allegation. This is something that goes back to July. And obviously you wouldn't have cameras going back to July at least, or I could ask the question. Do you have cameras that go back to July?
We do not.
Okay. Do you have cameras in Game On?
We do.
Okay. Do your cameras, would they have captured Miss Faria and her friends ordering drinks at the bar?
So there, Game On's a big bar, so there's several places they could have been downstairs. There are blind spots in the cameras.
Okay, because this is an example where a camera footage would actually show perhaps that this did not happen, but we don't have anything to state that.
So when the
You don't have any camera footage. What I'm asking for is, do you have any camera footage of Miss Faria and her friends inside your bar on this night?
We do not.
Okay, but you may have. That night, but you don't have it anymore. Like she's alleging that a crime was committed at this bar on this
Ma'am,
particular night.
if I may, I don't mean to interrupt, but regarding the camera footage, we did try to obtain that from the corporation. And the cameras had not been working for a few days around that area. So there is no camera footage that was available.
Okay. So Ms. Faria, you stated that you friends ordered a round of drinks when you got to Game On.
Yes,
And do you know what you would have ordered?
I believe it was a mixed drink with vodka. Don't remember what exactly, but
So you and your friends would have all ordered the same drinks?
yes, it was
Okay.
like we got 3 and then we were given an additional, each of us given a free shot as well.
Okay. And did you pay for your drink?
One of my friends did.
Okay. Do you know if she paid with cash or her credit card?
Credit card. She
Okay.
showed us afterwards.
Do you know how many drinks you ordered and paid for at Game On that night?
So in total, she ordered 3.
3 drinks, so 1 round?
Yeah,
So she ordered 1 round of drinks. You believe, or you're testifying that you also received a round of shots. And
Yes.
after you received the round of shots, you basically blacked out and became sick, or you don't remember what happened after.
yeah. I kind of could recall those little pieces I reported on, but largely don't. As soon as we left the bar, that's kind of in my memory.
Okay, so the police report says you had about 5 to 6 drinks over the course of the night, but your testimony is that you only ordered 1 round of drinks at Game On.
Mhm.
But you received, in addition to the 1 drink you ordered, you received a round of free shots.
Yeah,
Did the
Well, so
bartenders,
2
did the
drinks that
bartender,
came on then.
okay, well, yeah, 1 per person. Did the bartender tell you who was paying for the shots?
No, just gave them to us.
Okay. Okay. I don't
Madam
have
Chair,
any
can I just
questions
ask
at
one
this moment.
follow-up question
Of me? Or,
of the witness?
sure.
So, ma'am, you went to the police the very next morning, and you now have heard that the police then went to the establishment. Did you give the police a description of the person who was alleged to have served you, given you this free drink?
Yes. We couldn't remember in super detailed, but we did.
And the police then went to the establishment. May I ask the detective a question, Madam Chair?
Sure, and then I'll continue with my line of questioning. Go ahead, attorney.
Were you given, detective, were you given a description of the person who's alleged to have given this free
Yes.
drink?
Yes, we were.
And did you go over with the management if there was anybody on scene that night who fit that description?
Yeah, yes, we went over it. We couldn't identify anybody really matching that description that we had. There was, I think, mostly female bartenders with 1 or 2 males. I think there was as many as 6 bartenders on that evening, and nobody matched that description that we were given.
Thank you, sir. I have no further questions. Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, I'm going to come back to my part of the hearing. Commissioner Curran, do you have any questions?
Yes, I'm sorry, maybe I'm gonna be repeating myself, but I did want to ask Ms. Faria just a little bit more about the mechanics, just so I'm clear. Were you all ordering from a bar? You were all sitting kind of next to each other at the bar, facing the bartender?
Yeah, we were standing, but yes, we were all right next to each other at the bar.
And were you consuming your drinks right there?
Yeah, I know we at least took the shot right there, and then the drinks we probably held in our hand for a little bit.
Okay. What did so the person was definitely behind the bar serving you your drinks, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And what did that person say when, like, how did the drinks arrive? Like on a tray, or, three of your ordered drinks kind of set out in front of you, and then the shots? Do you remember?
I don't think they were on a tray. It was kind of like everyone was just standing there and we were handed them. All the same, they're all like made in, like, we observed them being made in the same shaker and then poured out into 3 glasses.
Facing you.
And I mean, I wasn't the one taught, my other friend who isn't like partaking in this now, she was the one who ordered and paid for them and kind of was the one speaking to the bartender, so I don't remember exactly what was said.
Okay. And so that's what I was kind of getting to. I was just trying to establish kind of like the interaction. And then my next question was, do you recall what was said upon the delivery of the free shots?
Yeah, so I don't.
Okay. And just for my own purpose, what description of the person do you have now? Can you describe the person for me?
Yeah, I wasn't really interacting with him, but my other friend reported that he was male, probably at least middle age, roughly, and looked like perhaps from a Hispanic background.
And that you mentioned that there is a credit card receipt for what you say, like, was 1 round. Is that correct?
Yes.
does the receipt, is it an itemized receipt or just by the amount? It appears to be 1 round of 3 drinks.
I would have to ask her.
Okay.
Since it's not my credit card yet.
And are there any other bills throughout the night? Did a second friend maybe get this next round? Did you kind of try to track down every time someone might have ordered a round?
Yes. So then again, kind of soon after at the Lansdowne bar down the street, there was on her credit card that she had ordered us each a drink there. But again, at that point, I have no memory of it.
And you kind of did an inventory between the 3 of you of all the times that there might have been a credit card transaction of drinks, correct?
Mhm.
And those 2 are what you came up with.
Yes.
That's all I have. Thank you.
Sorry that you went through this, but to the best of your memory, do you ever remember being distracted or looking away from your drink or stepping away to the bathroom, leaving your drink, either one, at the Lansdowne?
No. Again, my memory kind of was gone before we got to the Lansdowne.
I'm sorry, not at the Lansdowne, but at the first part. Sorry.
Oh, definitely. No, definitely not. I didn't. Yeah, we weren't there for very long, and I don't remember any distracting moments or anything.
I just have one more question for either Attorney Quilty or for the general manager. Based on Ms. Faria's description, can you say that you don't have any Hispanic males that were bartending on that night?
Joe?
I would, we do have a Hispanic male bartender that works at Game On. I'd have to check to see if he was working on that night.
Could you check and let us know?
Of course.
Could you check before Thursday?
Yes, I can do that.
Thank you.
And then may I, if I just one closing thought,
Sure.
if I may?
Can I interrupt?
Sure,
Just-
Attorney,
I'm sorry.
Commissioner. All right.
Joe, is your name Joseph? Sorry.
Yes, yes.
You don't know who was working that night? You're at this hearing today, you don't know who was working that night?
No, he does know. He stated earlier, he knows, he doesn't know if the Hispanic person was on that night.
So he's saying he doesn't know who was working that night.
No. He gave the police, and they testified that he gave them a list of all the people working. And the officers actually said most of the people working were women. And of the 2 men that were on duty, neither of them fit the description that the young lady gave.
Yeah, but
We just-
that's neither here nor there. He said he has to check whether that person was working that night. So he doesn't know.
I think it's 2 different things. He suggested that they do
No,
have a
no.
Hispanic
Does he
member.
know today in front of us who was working that night?
Joe?
I don't have a list of the people. We had 8 bartenders on it. I'd have to double check to make sure.
Do you have them with
I
you?
know.
Do you have the list
Working.
with you?
I do not know. I gave it to the police. The detective should have a list that I gave them when they came in, and I got that together for them.
Okay, and you'll find out.
I just have to double check that list. I can pull it up and I can let you guys know. But I have to double check.
Do either of the detectives have that list now?
No, I don't have it in front of me right now. I remember talking about it with the manager there and going through the list with him to see who was, if any of those individuals could be identified and speak to about it, but none of them originally have matched up with what we were looking for.
Then the list that I
I'm sorry, I just don't have the list. I'm not in that office right now.
Do either one of you remember like a Hispanic surname or?
No.
Joe, you can provide the list to the board between now and Thursday.
Yeah, I just have to go I just have to get it from my computer in the office, and then it'll be the same list that I gave the detectives when they came in and they asked me to pull up who was working that night. It'll be the same exact list. I just have to, I don't have that list in front of me. And I don't want to make a guess. I want to, provide only accurate information.
Madam
Okay.
Chair, we'll provide that list hopefully today.
Yeah, I'll pull it up right after this meeting.
Attorney Quilty, did you
Yes,
want to
ma'am.
wrap up? Did you have some closing comments?
Yeah, I would. I'm just looking, I mean, this is a horrible situation. I feel, terribly for these young women. I just don't have, I personally don't think there's enough information provided to suggest that somebody an employee of the establishment did anything. I mean, to go back to this identification thing, I heard the officer say they interviewed the people and nobody fit the description that the young ladies gave them. That was a week later, not 6 months later. They said nobody fit the description. We have no report made to anybody in a position of authority at the establishment. The most reasonable thing to do, in my opinion, would have been to go to the management and complain. They had ample opportunity to do this and they did not. They went to a second establishment and the same thing, nothing happened. Look, I mean, I think it's horrible. I don't know what happened. I mean, I wish there was film.
Sure.
I don't think the establishment had anything to do with this. I don't know what happened or why it happened. And I feel horrible for these young ladies, but I don't think that just because they're in an establishment, that establishment should bear the blame for something which we can't really, I don't think, prove. And most of all, they gave descriptions immediately thereafter and nobody working that night fit the description.
That's what we want to determine.
Yep. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. And Abby, thank you for joining us. We will take this all into consideration.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. The board will take this matter under advisement. Calling number 3, High Street Restaurant Group LLC, DBA Howl at the Moon and Down Ultra Lounge, 184 High Street, Boston. Violation number 026604. Date of the incident, 7/31/21. Patron on patron assault and battery in violation of Mass General Law, Chapter 138, Section 64, Chapter 265, Section 13A. Who is present on behalf of the licensee?
Again, Maureen, Madam Chair, members of the board, it's me again, Dennis Quilty, representing the licensee. With me is Arthur Lucas, who is the general manager of the establishment.
And Paul Holian is here as well.
Okay, Paul.
And who is present on behalf of the Boston Police Department?
Officer Giblin.
And are there,
Sergeant Daniel McIsaac.
thank you. Are there any other individuals with personal knowledge of alleged incident who wish to testify? Can you all please raise your right hand? Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Yes.
And Sergeant or officer who's reading it, can you please read the police report?
Yes, Officer Giblin, Boston Police. The report is as follows. About 0038 hours on Saturday, July 31st, 2021, Officer Giblin, assigned to the Alpha 432 Alpha, responded to a radio call for a fight inside of Howl at the Moon, 184 High Street, Boston. Also responding was the Alpha 435 Alpha, Officer Sosa. Operations reported that a female was assaulted inside of the bar and that the parties involved may still be on scene. Upon arrival, Officer Giblin spoke with management for the bar and informed them that there was a report of a fight inside and a woman assaulted. Management informed officers that they were not aware of an incident. Officers located a female outside of the establishment at the corner of Battery March in Wendell Street, bleeding from the top of her nose. She was identified as Shannon Donovan. She was with her friend, the reporting party, Casey Linehan. EMS was requested. Miss Linehan stated that her and Miss Donovan were inside the basement of Howl at the Moon. Ms. Lenahan stated that the incident began when she accidentally stepped on the foot of another female inside. She stated that as a result, an argument began and Ms. Donovan was assaulted by a female that was present. Ms. Lenahan stated that Ms. Donovan was pushed to the floor and the unknown female began punching Ms. Donovan. Ms. Lenahan stated that the incident occurred near the DJ booth. The Alpha 914, Sergeant McIsaac, responded and conducted a code 35, number 026604, license premise violation notice on the establishment. Boston EMS ambulance 1 Alpha 04, Feeney and Taylor responded. Ms. Donovan refused EMS. Ms. Donovan was informed that a report would be completed on the incident. That is all.
Thank you. Sergeant, do you have anything to add?
No, I don't have anything to add other than what's in the report.
Thank you. Attorney Quilty?
Yes, ma'am. Officer Giblin, the violation inspection notice indicates that management cooperated. Is that correct?
Sir, you'd have to direct that to Sergeant McIsaac. I'm not aware.
Okay. Oh, so that's right.
Yeah.
So I'm sorry. The sergeant actually filled out that part of the report. So did they cooperate with you, sir?
Yes, sir. They're very cooperative.
And that would have been Mr. Lucas, who's with us here this morning?
I don't recall his name. I recognized his face when he came through.
Okay.
On this.
You recognize Mr. Lucas was here this morning?
Yes, I'm trying to. I don't remember his name, but
okay. But in any event, the management cooperated with you.
Correct. Yes, Mr. Lucas. Yes.
Thank you, sir. And if I may just go back to Officer Giblin, did you respond to the incident? Yes, you did. Yes.
Yes, I received the call from dispatch.
And you discovered the person who was injured outside of the establishment around the corner nearby.
Yeah, from my recollection, when I arrived, I briefly engaged with the employees who were standing outside, who were normally standing outside, security, I would assume. I informed them that we had received a call that there was a fight inside, and like the report mentions, they had replied that they were unaware of an incident occurring. I recall briefly looking around to see if there was a victim, and then being informed that there was a female victim around the corner, like the report mentions, outside the establishment.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Are you aware, or is the sergeant aware as to whether or not video was provided to the detectives in this matter?
I'm not aware.
I believe there might have been, but I can't speak to any of that.
Okay. Thank you, gentlemen. Appreciate it. I know Mr. Lucas is here and can testify, Madam Chair, if I may inquire of him.
Go ahead.
Mr. Lucas, you've been sworn. Just state your name for the record.
Arthur Lucas.
And can you explain, the report indicates that when the officers arrived, management was unaware of the incident. Can you explain that?
Yes, I was working upstairs at the Howell at the Moon floor, and my other manager, Mike Pantano, was managing the downstairs, and he had walked out. He was working out front area, and he had saw the girls leave the downstairs area, and he was the one that was with them while they called the police. So he stayed with them because one of the girls was bleeding, and that he didn't get a chance to. Everything happened so fast. He didn't get a chance to tell me that something happened because he was maintaining his, presence with the two girls that were part of the situation. So once
I'm sorry, go ahead.
So once once the police arrived, we saw Mike with the two girls, and I'm like, okay, because everything happened so fast. So.
Okay. But you were unaware because you were in a different part of the building.
Correct.
And the other individual was apparently dealing with these individuals when the police arrived.
Correct.
And then you obviously you were aware of it, but at the same time.
Yeah, at the same time, pretty much, as when the police arrived.
And I asked the police individuals whether or not video was provided. Did you indeed provide video to the detectives in this case?
Yes, a couple days later, a detective followed up and I did provide him video.
And do you have any, personal knowledge as to what occurred outside or inside the establishment?
Just after reviewing the video, it looked as though there was just words, whether or not you can't tell if someone stepped on someone's foot. It looked like there was a group of two different, female parties that were jawing at each other. And I think one person grabbed one of the other girls and brought it to the ground, but it broke up pretty quickly and the girls went outside. But I'm not sure how she got hurt. I don't know if it was when she fell to the ground or not, but that's pretty much it based on the video that we saw.
And was the woman who was bleeding, was she able to identify the person who she was interacting with?
No, not at all. She couldn't even really remember what the person looked like or because I think it just happened so fast.
And did you subsequently have an interaction with the victim, if you will, the next day?
Yes, the two females, we got some information from them that they were staying in town for the weekend. And actually the next night, this was a Friday night, the next night, a Saturday night, they came back when we were open, probably around 8 or 9 o'clock, to retrieve their credit card that they had left at the bar.
And did you assist them and help them out in that endeavor?
Yes, we did.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Lucas. The board may have some questions for you.
Okay.
Chairwoman Joyce?
I don't have any questions. Commissioner Curran, do you?
I do not, thank you.
Commissioner Saxon, do you?
I do not, thanks.
Okay, no questions.
Thank you. The board will take this matter under advisement.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Calling item number 4, Johnny's on the Side LLC, DBA West End Johnny's, location 138 Portland Street, Boston. Violation number 060604. Date of the incident 8/28/21. Overserved patron in violation of Mass General Law, Chapter 138, Section 64. Who is present on behalf of the licensee?
Is there anyone here on behalf of West End Johnny's? We can take a second call, Maureen, and move on to the next one.
Item number 5, GM Restaurants Enterprises, Inc., DBA La Terraza, location 19 Bennington Street, East Boston. Violation number 022601. Date of the incident, October 12th, 2021, assault and battery, employee on patron in violation of Mass General Law, Chapter 138, Section 64, Chapter 265, Section 13A. Who is present on behalf of the licensee?
Good morning, Michael Ford here for the licensee. To my right is Angel Negron, who is security. Directly behind me is Jorge Martinez, manager and co-owner. I don't know if he's made it on. He couldn't be here because he has COVID right now, is Roberto Diaz.
Thank you. Who is present on behalf of the Boston Police?
Detective Ivan Bermejo.
Sergeant Detective Manuel Blas.
And is there anybody else that would wish to testify? You have to unmute yourself, Antonio. Can you state your name for the record, please? We can't hear you.
There's no sound at all, sir.
Antonio, do you want to try calling in? We can't hear you at all. If you're on your computer, you may not have connected properly to audio. Yeah. Do you want to speak? We don't know if we can hear you. Okay, we can't hear you. So what we're going to do is we are going to move on to number 6 and ask Antonio to try to connect another way. And we'll come back to La Terraza after we do Bell in Hand, because we want to move through our agenda. We do want to give Antonio and everyone else who's joined us today for La Terraza an opportunity. We just can't hear you, Antonio.
Number 6, Old Colonial Corporation, DBA Bell in Hand, location 45 to 55 Union Street, Boston. Violation number 022804, the date of the incident, 10/13/21. Assault and battery, patron on patron, inside bar, in violation of Mass General Law, Chapter 138, Section 64, Chapter 265, Section 13A. Who is present on behalf of the licensee?
Trish Malone, counsel for the Bell in Hand.
Who is present on behalf of the Boston Police Department?
Officer Siobhan Elvin.
Thank you. Are there any other individuals that would wish to testify?
Hi. I'm Pamela Santos.
Justin Barnard.
Can you please raise your right hand? Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
I do.
Officer, can you please proceed with the police report?
Yes, ma'am. About 1:14 a.m. on Wednesday, October 13th, 2021, officers Elvin and McCunas in the Alpha 102 Alpha responded to a radio call for an assault and battery in progress at the Bell in Hand Tavern, 45 Union Street, Boston. Upon arrival, officers immediately observed a heavily intoxicated white male, victim number 1, sitting on the ground inside the doorway to the Bell in Hand Tavern with numerous individuals surrounding him, applying pressure to a laceration on the back of his head. Officers immediately observed that victim number 1, later identified as Daniel Locke, DOB 8180, was actively bleeding from the aforementioned laceration, so officers immediately requested EMS respond to evaluate Locke's injuries. Officers made numerous attempts to speak with Locke about the events that transpired prior to their arrival. However, due to his apparent highly intoxicated state, Locke was unable to follow simple instructions or answer basic questions about the alleged assault. Locke did state that he had been drinking and had taken lots of weed gummies, a direct quote, and was in a confused and disoriented state. Officers observed that Locke appeared to be hallucinating as he spoke in a paranoid manner with Officer Elvin and asked her 10 to 15 times if she was an FBI agent and accused her of stealing his phone. Locke further added that his assailant, unknown, was also an FBI agent to his knowledge and was involved in an alleged conspiracy against him. EMTs D'Amico and May the 4th arrived on scene and transported Locke to Mass General Hospital for further evaluation in ambulance number 1. Officers then spoke with the E911 caller / victim number 2, who identified himself as Michael Townsend, DOB unknown, of 1889 Misty Ridge Lane in Aurora, Illinois. Townsend, victim number 2, also appeared to be highly intoxicated and was unable to communicate clearly with the officers. Townsend initially refused EMS, but later complained of lower back pain and demanded his own police report for being, direct quote, accosted twice by the suspect, unknown. Townsend was transported by EMTs Avella and Feeney in ambulance number 4 to Mass General Hospital for further evaluation. Officers spoke with one eyewitness to the altercation who identified herself as Pamela Santos, DOB 42097. Santos stated that she was bartending in the front bar of the Bell in Hand Tavern when a fight broke out between numerous highly intoxicated white males that included Locke and a 40-year-old white male white non-Hispanic male, wearing a black t-shirt with colored lettering and medium wash jeans. The suspect, unidentified at this time. Santos stated that she observed the suspect unknown push lock and lock fall backward into a high top table before hitting his head. District A1 Patrol Supervisor Sergeant St. Peter and the Alpha 908 responded to the scene to conduct a Code 35 licensed premise investigation and issued license premise violation number 022804 in hand to the on-duty manager, Justin Barnard, DOB 102479, and the on-scene bar owner, Adam Kessler, DOB 72164. Note, it should be noted for report writing purposes that Barnard, Kessler, and all of the Bell in Hand bar/wait staff on scene were highly cooperative with the officers for the entirety of their investigation. The limited description of the suspect provided by Santos was broadcast over the air on Channel 2. Officers canvassed the area for individuals matching the suspect's description to no avail. Note, Locke, victim number 1, was ejected from Mass General Hospital shortly after being seen in the ER because he continued to film nurses, doctors, and other medical staff against their consent. At approximately 2:41 a.m., officers responded directly to Locke's apartment at 1 Longfellow Place, unit number 2320, after his friend Anne-Marie, a third-party caller calling from Washington, D.C., stated she was concerned for his well-being after he FaceTimed her and had blood all over him. EMTs D'Amico and May the 4th re-responded to 1 Longfellow Place with officers Elvin and McCune, and shortly thereafter retransported Locke to Mass General Hospital in ambulance number 1 for further evaluation once he agreed to leave his cell phone at his apartment. That is all.
Thank you. Attorney Malone?
Yes, I just, inquiring officer, when you did arrive at the scene, did you observe, or did you notice that it was both staff people as well as patrons that were applying first aid to the gentleman that had obviously hit the table and now was on the ground bleeding?
Yes, I recall correctly. I believe it was a mix of maybe door staff, unidentified door staff or manager, but it was they were very cooperative.
Okay, and so in your opinion, is there anything that they could have done differently with regard to, I know they called 911, they cooperated with the Boston police, and obviously the alleged victim here was clearly under not only the influence of alcohol, but obviously another drug. And at that point, there obviously must have been a lot of confusion around the scene. Would that be correct?
Yes, obviously I didn't see when he first got to the bar, but from my interactions with the victim, Locke, he's extremely uncooperative and unruly, despite being not only the Boston police, but Bell and Hand staff and random patrons trying to assist him.
Okay, so in your opinion, is there anything else that the Bell and Hand staff could have done that evening?
No, not to my knowledge.
Okay, no further questions. Madam Chairwoman, I have both Pam Santos, who was the firsthand who was there that evening and was the bartender, as well as Mr. Bernard, who was the manager on that evening. Briefly, I will summarize that it was a Tuesday evening. It was a karaoke night. Approximately 60 people were inside the premises, and Ms. Santos, who's with us today, will testify that she did see the altercation take place. And Ms. Santos, can you briefly tell the board, once you saw the altercation take place, what in fact you did? I ran to go get the door staff, told multiple people to call 911 because I was worried, and went to go help the guy. Mr.
Okay,
Locke.
so can you tell me what the policy of the premises is when in fact an altercation does take place?
Call 911 and render aid.
Okay. And when you discovered that, there was an altercation that looked serious, did you in fact run to get the manager that night, which was Mr. Justin Bernard?
Yeah, I went to go get the manager and I went to go get door staff to help me.
Okay.
Help the situation.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Bernard?
Yes,
Okay, you were on the premise that evening, operating as a manager?
I was.
Okay, and at that time, you recall Ms. Santos coming over and asking for your help with an altercation?
That is correct.
Okay, and can you tell me what you did the minute you heard what was going on and what she said to you?
Ran into the next room to see the gentleman being helped with a laceration on his back and called 911.
Okay. Is there anything further you'd like to add?
No, there is not.
Okay, Madam Chairwoman, any questions you may have?
Thank you, Attorney Malone. Question for either of the people that were working that night, or perhaps, yeah, I guess for either of the two people that were working that night. Was there anything that occurred leading up to this fight that would have indicated that this was going to happen?
Not at all. I turned around and I heard shouting, and then they started shoving, and that's when I went to immediately get help.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Saxon or Commissioner Curran, do you have any questions?
Just one quick one. How many drinks did the patron have?
I don't recall. He had food. They were sitting, they were talking, they did karaoke. As for how many drinks they had, I don't recall.
Yeah, I am unsure as well.
I have no further questions. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Returning to number 5, GM Restaurant Enterprises, Inc., DBA La Terraza, 19 Bennington Street. Violation number 022601, date of the incident, 10/12/21, assault and battery, employees on patron. In violation of Mass General Law, Chapter 138, Section 64, Chapter 265, Section 13A. Antonio, are you there?
Do you see your microphone icon? Because we still can't hear you. Do you see the microphone icon at the bottom? And do you see the up arrow next to it? Press the up arrow and make sure that there's a check mark next to a microphone, something, any microphone that's listed. It says it's connecting to audio, so it,
Looks like there's still audio connections. What I'm going to suggest is,
it said there was a check right at there, right at the last minute. Can we hear him now? Oh.
Antonio, can you hear us? Yeah. So what I'm going to suggest is you take your is this a computer? If this is your computer, that's your telephone. Okay. Can you call in regularly, like through the phone number that, Maureen, can you email him the phone number to join the Zoom? We just can't, this is, we can't hear him, and I want to give him an opportunity to participate in the hearing.
Yep.
So Antonio, we can see you, and I know you're gonna have to hang up to call in. Please call in, and Maureen will let you join by phone. He'll have to hang up the Zoom call. All right, in the meantime, let's
Number 7, Ross.
No, we can, why don't we go back to number 5? We'll read the police report in, and Antonio hopefully can join by telephone.
Detective Bermejo, would you like to read the report in?
Yes. About 11:30 a.m. on Tuesday, October 12th, 2021, while assigned to the front desk, Cadet Azulier took a report for an assault. The victim, Antonio Ortiz, reports at La Terraza on today's date between 1:50 and 2 a.m. The victim reported he was at the restaurant during the closing time. The security guards began telling people to leave. At this time, the victim reported he was talking with the owner while drinking. Victim stated he was continuing his conversation with the owner. One of the security guards, David, 5'11", 6-foot Hispanic muscular tattoos, facial hair, grabbed him by the right hand and twisted while still holding the wine glass. Victim was then able to release the glass from his hands onto the table and finish the conversation with the owner. The victim stated he was leaving and going to walk downstairs. The security guard shoved him from behind. Victim states the owner came over to the security guard and told him not to push anyone on the stairs. Victim went to East Boston Medical Center on today's date for x-ray on his hand and wrist. On 10/14, about 9:46, Detectives Espino and Detective Sergeant Manny Blas and Detective Montesino responded to La Terraza and 19 Bennington Street. While on scene, Detective Espinoza spoke with Angel David Negron from 217 Trent Street, East Boston. Mr. Negron stated he was working the time of the incident. Mr. Negron stated that the victim had come to the door sometime around 1:30 to 1:45. Mr. Negron said he attempted not to allow the victim into the building due to the late times. The Negron stated that the victim got mad and was telling him that he just needed to speak with the owner. Mr. Negron stated that the victim did enter. Mr. Negron stated to Detective Espino that he saw the victim with a wine glass about 5 minutes after entering. Mr. Negron stated closing time and asked the victim to leave. Mr. Negron stated that all the patrons left peacefully, but the victim stayed and would not leave. Mr. Negron stated that the victim continued not to leave and stayed past 2 a.m. Mr. Negron stated that his boss, Tito, and him asked the victim to leave. Mr. Negron said that the victim still had a wine glass in his hand. Mr. Negron stated for his and his boss's safety, and the boss too took the wine glass out of his hand. Mr. Negron stated that there was a small struggle for the glass. Mr. Negron stated that he and his boss escorted the victim out and down the stairs. They said they did not strike or push the victim, but was close to him, keeping him moving towards the exit. He stated that the victim, after being escorted out of the front door, stayed in the vestibule of the building for a while. Mr. Negron gave his boss's name, Roberto Tito Diaz, company, the phone number of the company he works for, located in Chelsea. The owner, George Martinez, was present. Mr. Martinez stated he did witness what happened while at the bar. He said he did not witness them around striking or pushing the victim. Mr. Martinez did ask the victim to leave multiple times, did produce a letter from the victim asking the Negron to stay away from him. Detectives were informed that the business has no cameras. Licensed premise inspection 22601 was issued for the assault on a patron. Police contacted and Mr. Martinez did receive a copy of the citation. And those are the facts for the board.
Thank you. We need to pause here for a minute. Antonio, can you hear us?
I can hear you perfect. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can finally hear you.
Okay.
We hold on. We forgot to swear people in. Is that correct?
Yes.
We're going to swear people in. We're going to ask if it's okay with all the parties to take the police report as read into the record so he doesn't have to read it again. We're going to, okay.
Great.
Go ahead, Maureen.
Can you all raise your right hand? Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
I do.
Mr. Martinez, your right hand? Very good.
Antonio, I'm
Yes.
going to ask you to let me run the hearing, okay? Because I'm the chair of the board.
Sergeant Detective Blast, do you have anything to add?
Yes, I do. First of all, I want to apologize. Detective Espino, who was also assigned this case, is unavailable due to illness. But I just wanted to add, based on my conversations with Detective Espino and reviewing his case notes in the past, I do know that he reviewed video from a business located within proximity, La Gran Manzana. It showed Mr. Arevalo leaving that business approximately 1:30 a.m. And making his way to La Terraza. It should also be noted that on the 13th of December, 2021, Detective Espino was present at a clerk's hearing at East Boston District Court. I was in front of Clerk Capilupo. He heard this matter, the clerk, and a complaint was not issued. Sufficient facts were not found for the complaint to be issued. I'd also like to note that I have spoken to Mr. Arevalo personally with respect to this. He has made it known to me that he has witnesses, but he has not made those witnesses available to us. But he has not named them. That is all.
Thank you, Sergeant Detective Blas. Attorney Ford?
Very briefly, maybe I'll address this to Detective Azzulli. When, as far as reviewing the police reports and whatnot, was there any indication that he gave a radiology report or explained his alleged injuries?
He did not provide one to me.
And was the licensee at all times cooperative?
Yes.
And I believe there may have been a police car out front. Is there any indication there in the records of any report or radio report regarding this alleged incident?
A police car in front? Was that what you're talking about? Which incident?
Yes. Was there any radio call or the like from a cruiser out front?
Oh, no. He walked into the station and filed this report.
Okay. I don't have any other questions for the police department. Thank you so much.
Okay. Would you like to add something, Attorney Ford, or?
I do. Is there going to be any other testimony where I need to cross? Otherwise, I can go right into the direct now.
Well, I'm sure that Antonio would like to speak, but usually you give your side, then we ask for witnesses, and then
Okay.
I ask.
We'll do it like this. I have here Mr. Negron. Would you please introduce yourself?
I'm Angel Negron, the security at La Terraza.
And were you working on October 12th?
Yes, I was.
About how many patrons were on the premises?
Anywhere 15 to 25.
And how many people were working as staff?
Myself and the owner manager and his assistant manager.
And I just want to draw your attention to around 1:45. Can you tell me what occurred?
The gentleman Antonio showed up saying that he needed to speak with Jose, which is the assistant manager. So I figured I let him in.
And what happened next?
He went to the bar, he went to speak with Jose, and he ended up having a drink. 2:00 came. I was telling everybody to get going, finish up, pay your tabs, clearing up patron to patron, telling everybody to leave.
And did he leave?
Well, he was the very last one there. He would not, he refused to leave. After the place was cleared out, he just refused to leave.
And you approached him, correct?
Yes, many times.
And who else approached him?
My supervisor, Tito, Roberto Diaz, stopped in and he told him, he needs to put his drink down and go. And he went, he asked him to put the drink down. He went to take the drink and he refused to let it go. And there was a back and forth between the two of them with the glass of wine because he refused to put the drink down.
Did you twist his arm?
Not at all. I grabbed the glass and I took the drink away from them.
And there was still wine in the glass, correct?
Yeah.
Did any wine spill out?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. And after that, who else was present for this?
The gentleman in the back, he's the owner manager. He was present. Roberto Diaz, who's on video, he was present.
And what happened next?
Well, from the bar, we escorted him to the top of the stairs, which is leading towards the exit. And I put my hand on the small of his back, which is called contact control, to kind of guide him towards, let's, get going. And he started flailing like, oh, you're pushing me. You're trying to push me down the stairs. And it was just a simple, guiding him towards the exit.
And could you, when he said that you were pushing him down the stairs, who was standing in front of him down the stairs?
He was right, my boss was right behind him, a few steps beneath him, making sure that nobody fell, that nobody got pushed down.
And then he left?
Yes, he ended up leaving.
Was there anything out front at some point?
There was a cruiser that pulled up outside.
Was there any incident from this?
Not at all.
Okay, did you see him go and speak to the
He
police?
was speaking with the officer.
And what happened as a result of that?
He just drove off like nothing. The police officer never got off, never made a report, anything, any inquiries.
And is he allowed back in the premises?
He's absolutely not allowed back in the premises.
And I think this was hit, but just to be clear, he took out an application for a criminal complaint against you, correct?
Yes, he did.
And that didn't, that was disposed of, correct?
Yes, it was.
I have no further questions from Mr. Negron. I just have, and if you'll indulge me, if it's acceptable, if I could use Mr. Negron to translate with Mr. Martinez, because they're just from the language. May I do that?
I do not accept.
Yeah, I don't know how we handle that. I don't know. I can't, I don't know Spanish, so I don't know if it's being translated correctly.
And
Okay.
It's leading the witness.
I don't know what to say with that. So.
Can you speak any English? Can you speak any English?
But if it might be in small pieces. What is your name?
My name is Jorge Martinez.
What do you do for a living?
Excuse me.
What's your job?
Oh, I am a manager en Paro de la Terraza.
Were you there on the day of this incident?
Yes.
Okay. Did you see Mr. Negron injure Antonio?
No.
I have no further questions.
Thank you.
I can do very brief with Mr. Diaz, who I believe is on the screen here. There he is. His screen name is Roberto, if I may.
Sure.
Mr.
He
Diaz,
hasn't been sworn in. Excuse me, he hasn't been sworn in.
You know, Antonio, he was, and we're going to mute you now so that we could get through the hearing properly. Maureen, please mute Antonio so we can get through this witness.
Mr. Diaz, would you introduce yourself to the commission, to the board?
Hi, my name is Roberto Diaz. I work for Go ahead.
And what do you do with respect to La Terraza?
I supervise us at La Terraza now. I've been there for almost 10 to 11 years, supervising the establishment.
And were you present on the date in question?
Yes.
Okay. And did you observe some interaction between Mr. Negron, Mr. Martinez, yourself, and Antonio Ortiz?
If I witnessed, I was there that day, and I did witness him.
Did you see Mr. Negron cause any injury?
No, I didn't see him. No, I don't.
And when he escorted him out, did he conduct himself professionally and in accordance with your instructions?
Yes, he always does.
I have no further questions from Mr. Diaz. Thank you, sir.
Thank you,
Okay.
Attorney Ford.
I believe the only other person with personal knowledge of this that's on the hearing today is Mr. Arevalo. Antonio, if you want to unmute yourself, we will welcome your testimony.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Good morning to everybody. So I apologize that I injected my opinions about the being sworn in. I didn't know that he had been sworn in since he's in another location through video. And I am very upset, just like I was that night with the continuous line that is ongoing. Mr. Angel Negron, how long have you been working at La Terraza prior to the night of the incident?
Okay, Antonio, this is how the hearings go. I ask the questions and you give your testimony about what your personal knowledge is of that night. It's not a court of law, so we're not going to do this witness interviewing or questioning other witnesses, okay?
So on that night, October the 12th, I had been, I picked up somebody from the airport, and then after I finished, I dropped them off in Revere, headed over to La Gran Manzana. I was there for about maybe close to half an hour with the owner, Johnny, who provided the video to the police department. Upon leaving there about 1:40 in the afternoon, as the detective would note, or 1:30 that I left, I walked over right across the street to La Terraza. Upon going up the stairs, I was greeted by Mr. Angel Negron, making a little joke that, oh, it's a little bit late. And I said, yeah, I know. Now's when I was able to get over here. So I proceeded, as I told him that I was there to see Jorge, since I did see him in his usual spot, right by the bar, at the end of the bar. I proceeded to start talking with Mr. Mr. Martinez, which has always been polite and cordial. He offered me a wine, so that's how the wine came about. I was served by the bartender, and for the record, the bartender wasn't interviewed. The 7 waitresses that were working that night weren't interviewed, but I do have 2 testimonies from 2 of the waitresses that after the assault have no longer, have left the premises days after the assault. One of them is Diana Marcela Herrera, and she was a bartender, and also Valentina Valencia, that has been arrested on another case. So she's not available. And then there was also Mr. Jose Villada that was sitting at the bar that I wasn't aware until about the lights were turned on about a quarter till 2 o'clock. Upon that time, that's when Mr. Negron and Robert were by a table, which I have pictures right here. Were by a table whispering with 10 other patrons, that were, so Mr. Jorge Martinez and me were right here, right by the ladies' bathroom, standing. And then all the way down here, which is 15 steps, in this corner, there was Robert Diaz, 10 other patrons. The only ones that have left the premises were the ones that were doing the birthday party, which were 25. The place had about 50 to 75 patrons right before I got there. So as Mr. Angel Negron says, they left. No, there was an altercation with one of the females that was physically pushed by another female over a dispute over a boyfriend or a man. So there was, before the lights were turned on, there was a prior incident with 2 females arguing and a push and shove. Robert Diaz was busy entertaining the 10 guests that were in the corner, all drinking out of a bottle. When those patrons that were fighting were escorted by Mr. Negron, who was downstairs, the lights were turned on, and then, which was about a quarter till 2 o'clock, and that's when Mr. Angel came up. He spoke to Robert Diaz, they whispered, and Angel Negron came right at me, grabbed my hand without saying nothing, grabbed my hand the first time, squeezed it, and said, "You gotta leave." I don't know what went on with the whispering. If you look at my affidavit that I gave the police department and also the state police that's investigating this for the Attorney General's office, has copies of this. So after that, he walked away, went back to speak with Robert. The only people left in the premises were Mr. Jose Villada, that I finally noticed that it was him because he had a hoodie on, and 2 other patrons that stayed by his side during the assault were supposed to be my witnesses, but they were intimidated, so they're no longer my witnesses. So they all watched, and then Mr. Angel Negron walked back to Robert, like I said. They whispered something, and then he came back the second time, grabbed my hand, and I asked him politely, "Why are you focused on me when you're sitting here, see that I'm talking to the owner? Meanwhile, you have 10 guys that are sitting in the table over there drinking out of the bottle." He ignored me, walked back to Robert. Upon coming back, he saw that I put my glass down on the counter the 3rd time because I didn't want to be manhandled. As I put my glass on the counter, Mr. Negron grabbed my hand, my right hand, which is now finally recovered, and he twisted it outward. That's where the final injury came about, my hand. After that, Mr. Robert Diaz left the 10 guys drinking in the corner, which I have 2 witnesses that have cooperated with the state police, and they Robert Diaz proceeded to walk towards me. The glass was already on the counter, for the record, and Mr. Negron had already assaulted me 3 times. Mr. Jorge Martinez had seen all 3 assaults. He was right next to me. On the first one, he was behind me, so I can give him the benefit of the doubt that he didn't see the first assault where he grabbed my hand, because Mr. Martinez was kind of behind me. But the second and the third were verbalized when it happened, because I told him this guy's assaulting me, and he just nodded his head, didn't say nothing. Also, for the record, the other witness is Joyce LaFortune, which was the security guard there for 7 years, that he had just left 3 days. He had quit 3 days prior to the assault. He was told that Robert Diaz was going to attack me or have me assaulted by somebody. So as we were leaving, because I got tired of being manhandled, and I started walking towards the staircase, I was pushed once. And when I turned around and I said, "Are you pushing me?" He nodded and joked and made a joke, which I don't remember. And then Mr. Robert Diaz passed right by me, being the one being in front of me, not Martinez. Mr. Robert Diaz was the first one going down the staircase. And as he went past me twice, he verbalized in English, "I'm going to kick your ass when we get outside." Sorry for the foul language to the alcohol licensing females. So as we started to again try to go down the stairs, I don't know if it was his bulletproof vest or he was very anxious, that he continued again to push me down the steps. As I verbalized it, Mr. Jorge Martinez ran from where he was standing at 10 steps away, grabbed him by the back of the bulletproof vest, and told him in Spanish, "No empujes a nadie por la escalera." Do not push anybody down the stairs. Mr. Robert Diaz said, "Okay, let's go." So Robert Diaz was in front of me, 7 steps in front of me, halfway down the steps. Mr. Angel de Negron was still behind me. The 2 witnesses that were there the whole time were next to me as I would walk down. Those to me were my guardian angels that saved me through the assault and as I was being pushed down the steps, because they stood by my side and they said, "Don't worry, we're not going to leave your side." When we got down to the door outside, there's a little corridor right there that leads to the exit of the staircase. And then to the left is another door to the restaurant and the exterior door. I was there standing, talking to Jorge Martinez, saying, "I cannot believe that you and Jose allow this to happen, of me being abused, assaulted." And as I verbalized that, Robert Diaz had one of the 2 security guards that were visiting run up to the door, and tell Jorge to close the door. As he closed the door, and I said, "You notice how all this time since upstairs you've been controlling the situation, being abusive and assaulting me?" I said, "This is going to be brought up for charges." As I did that, he told Jorge to lock the door. Jorge just nodded. Throughout the whole assault, I want the record to show Jose Villa didn't say nothing other than, "I'm not working tonight. I'm off." And he put his hoodie on when he was at the bar. And then when I verbalized to Jorge Martinez about the 3 assaults, my hand was grabbed, he nodded, didn't say not one word. Mr. Martinez, for the record, you did not say anything to me, no time. Why? Because as Joyce Fortune will testify to the state police and to the federal agents that are investigating this, you have allowed Robert Diaz for the last 6 months to take control of your business and abuse customers. We have 5 witnesses from the La Terraza that have filed a complaint with the state attorney's office. Okay, when we were outside, there was a police officer that was parked 50 yards away. The 2 witnesses that were by my side inside were the ones that flagged down and called over the police to come over, as they recorded on their phones everything that went on outside. I also proceeded to do a Facebook Live, which 40 people.
Antonio?
Yes.
So I just want to make sure we get all the information on the record. So I want to jump in for a second.
Sure.
So if you don't mind, your testimony is that you arrived around 1:45 that morning?
No, about 1:35, maybe 1:40. There is a clock.
Okay, so you arrived, I just want to get the facts out. Okay, so your testimony is that your side of the facts out, that you arrived around 1:30 to 1:45. It was close to closing hour, and one of the employees offered you a glass of wine, and then another
Mr. Jorge
employee,
Martinez, the owner, offered me the wine.
owner offered you a glass of wine, and then the security guard asked you to leave. You weren't ready to leave. You asked him why other people weren't leaving, and he grabbed your hand and assaulted you. So that is your testimony.
3 times. The third time, there were still
Okay.
10 patrons with the bottle on the table. And I even told them that. I said, why are you focused targeting me? when you
Okay.
still have 6 people.
I just want to synthesize the facts and for everyone's understanding today. And okay, I'm going to turn it back to Attorney Ford to see if you have any questions for Mr. Aravalo.
There's a lot here, but I'll try to keep it brief. Ms. Avalaro, you were drinking at La Manzana before you came to La Terraza, correct?
Nope. I actually was sitting down because the place was empty. I was at the table next to the DJ with Mr. Johnny, I don't know his last name, the owner.
So it was in La Manzana, that's a bar, right?
It's a restaurant bar, just like La Terraza.
Okay, were you eating any food there?
No, I went there with the purpose of talking to the both owners, La Gran Manzana, and then to come over to speak to Jorge from La Terraza. And I will get into the conversation that I had with Mr. Jorge.
I didn't ask that.
I'm sorry?
I just asked, that wasn't my question. My question was, did you go to La Manzana and have no food and no drink?
I was offered.
Yes or no?
I was offered a club soda, so I did have a drink, a club soda on the rocks.
And you got X-rays? Just try my question. We want to get out of here. You had X-rays done, is that correct?
Yes, I did.
All right, and they were negative, right?
What do you mean negative?
Was there a radiology report?
Yeah, and I submitted everything to City Hall yesterday and to the police department yesterday night.
Was there a fracture?
There was on my pinky, a minor fracture. The 2 fingers here, they're compromised. The 2 middle fingers compromised, and then my wrist. So
Were you in a
everything is
cast? Were you in a cast? Were you in a cast?
Yes, for about a month, and I had to do occupational therapy for about a month and a half.
Okay.
And I also included the paperwork from the occupational therapist.
And is it your testimony that the X-ray showed the damage to the muscles, ligaments, and tendons?
Yes.
And then just ask you another question. Just gonna wait for my question, right? Did you you filed an application for complaint with the East Boston District Court, correct?
Correct.
And the clerk disposed of that, correct?
Apparently he did, because I didn't have video.
So that's a yes. Is that a yes? Is that a yes?
Yes, but it's being appealed also.
By you?
Exactly. My 2 witnesses that are going to be coming forward after they speak with the state attorney general's office.
Where'd you file that appeal?
At the courthouse.
Okay.
They have a letter, and I left a letter for the police department. So
You
they
have a
should have
doc- You must, all that paper there, do you have a docket number for that?
They didn't give it to me. The victim advocate got in touch with me, and it's being discussed with the attorney that I'm hiring.
Did you see a cruiser in front of the restaurant where you came out?
Since I arrived at after 1:30, 1:35, he was parked 50 yards away in the first space. Leading to the parking lot. He was right on the first space, which that's the space for the El Salvadoran consulate during the day.
And did you report this incident to the police officer that was in that cruiser?
I didn't have to because the witnesses were nice enough on flagging him down and they called him over. And when he drove up, I was in the street with the officer by the car, and next to me was Angel Negron and Robert Diaz on the sidewalk. So I told the officer, I was assaulted upstairs. I showed him my hand, and then I said to him, presently, my hand is hurting so much, I'm gonna go 2 blocks away to the East Boston emergency to have my hand looked at. Depending on what the results are, I will walk over to the police station and do a report. He said, no problem. I do remember his face. I didn't ask him for his name, just like I didn't ask the 2 witnesses that were there that offered to drive me over to the hospital.
I have a follow-up question. If I can jump in, both parties. Are you all done, Attorney Ford?
I think we can end it there.
What time is La Terraza open to in the evening?
2 a.m. 2 a.m.
2 a.m. So when he arrived, it really was close to closing.
Yes.
Okay. All right. I don't have any other questions. Commissioner Saxon, Commissioner Curran, do you?
No questions, thank you.
No questions.
And with that, I think we are done with this part of the hearing.
Thank you. The board will take this matter under advisement.
Thank you
so much.
Thank you.
Number 7.
Thank you.
Ross Tesaria Cancun 2 LLC, DBA Ross Tesaria Cancun 2, location 145 Meridian Street, East Boston. Violation number 022776. Date of the incident is 10/16/21. Post-wedding dinner reception for a business currently closed for building renovation in violation of Mass General Law, Chapter 138, Section 64. Who is present on behalf of the licensee?
Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the board, Adam Barnowski, 255 State Street, Boston, on behalf of the licensee. And now with me is Alex Betancourt, the owner and manager of record, as well as Gildardo Preciado, who's the owner of Etnius Restaurant Incorporated.
Who is present on behalf of the Boston Police Department? Miss, you're on mute.
Sergeant Holden should be here.
He's here. He's on mute.
Wrong button, sorry. Sergeant Holden, good morning.
And is there anybody else with information about this incident that would wish to testify? Can you all please raise your right hand? Can you tell the truth? Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I can.
Sergeant Holden, you can proceed with the police report.
On Saturday, 10/16/2021 at 10:44 hours, officers Mirando and Sullivan-Venezia in the Gold 101 Frank respond to 145 Meridian Street for a 911 call to investigate loud music coming from a location that was under construction. On arrival, the officers met with one of the owners of the location, suspect Gildardo Preciado, and informed the officers while on body-worn camera that the place is under construction, but he was holding a wedding party for family members. With approximately 35 to 45 persons inside, the officers contacted the Gold 911, Sergeant Holden, to respond for a licensed premise violation. As a result, the Gold 911 arrived on scene and spoke with the owner, suspect Preciado. Suspect Preciado was issued Boston Police License Premise Inspection Notice 02776. I also noted in the report building permit SF12099725 was assigned to Cesar Lopez Berrio as the primary contact for the construction permit. That is all.
Thank you. Attorney Barnowski.
Thank you. And both of the individuals that I mentioned, Mr. Betancourt and Preciado, are available to testify. I do want to provide some information to the board for context. Mr. Betancourt had closed Rosa Seria, that's the current licensee at the premises, that was brought forth before the board in the violation. They closed in March 2020 at the outset of the pandemic, and after the mandated shutdowns never reopened. The license was renewed in 2021, and Rosa Seria had sought to sell its business and its license, which they ended up doing. That's where Mr. Preciado and Etnius Restaurant come into play. They entered into a purchase and sale, and Etnius took over the lease of the premise in March of 2021. And the opening was subject to them completing construction and going before this board in the ABCC on a license transfer. You may recall this matter came before the board on November 17th for a license transfer. It was approved, and that approval is currently pending at the ABCC. As it relates to the present matter, the October 16th incident occurred after my client, the current licensee, had vacated the premises. While the licensee was still in the name of Rosa Seria, it was dormant, and the business had long ceased control of the location, with the license transfer pending at the time of the incident. That being said, in my discussions with my client and with Mr. Preciado, we were able to understand the nature of the violation and some of the facts that led up to the Boston Police being called in. So simply put, there's no contesting the violation. There's no contesting the facts here. There's really no excuse for the violation, but we wanted to present a reasonable explanation as to the facts presented. At the time of the incident, the restaurant was near complete with renovations. The group had started renovating in earlier 2020, and by the fall, the restaurant had just completed or almost completed its build out. It's my understanding that the building permit was signed off and they were waiting on their CO at the time. So from March 2020 all the way up until today, the liquor license that is issued to the premises was dormant and inactive. On October 16th, a close family friend of the proposed owner had gotten married. There was a wedding that had taken place at another location. And following the event, the owner wanted to show his family and friends the new restaurant space. The space had been a long time coming, particularly in light of COVID, and he wanted to show off the new restaurant. And concerning COVID, there really weren't a lot of places to congregate safely for this group. It started off as a small group around 6 or 6:30, and there was no intent to stay more than a few hours. Around 9:30 or so, I believe the sergeant mentioned the Boston Police contacted him. It's my understanding that Mr. Preciado and his group immediately left, that they were cooperative, and they complied with the officer's request. Admittedly, there was alcohol on site. I understand that there was beer that was brought in by the family when they arrived earlier that evening, and those beverages were consumed on site. But I'll reiterate, this was casual, it was informal, it was not a traditional wedding reception, it was not a private paid function, there was no money that exchanged hands, there was no open bar, there was no activation or use of the liquor license at all. So the current licensee, who's before you today, had no knowledge that this incident occurred. They didn't have the legal right to the premises at that point, having transferred their lease earlier in the year. And the proposed licensee was simply not aware that what they were doing was afoul of the rules. They weren't operating the business, they weren't catering an event, they brought in their close family and friends. Now, we have since discussed really what the parameters of a licensed establishment means in the city of Boston, and that there are certain restrictions, even when a license is dormant, even when a license is inactive, that there are still restrictions that are required here, particularly because there was no CO. So we just come before the board to explain that to you. This was a solitary event. It will not happen again. The licensee currently and the proposed licensee take this matter very seriously. The proposed licensee does have restaurants in other parts of the Commonwealth. They've operated those without incident, and they do hope to have no further issues and operate a business successfully in Boston. So I'm happy to answer any questions the board may have, as are Mr. Betancourt and Mr. Preciado.
Thank you, Attorney Barnowski. Who is the manager of record that this board approved for this new license?
For the new license, Gildardo, Gildardo Preciado is the owner, but the manager of record is a different individual. I believe it's Lazarengo.
It's Luz Arango, yes, she's gonna be.
Okay. So how do you explain that the manager of record or the new licensee did not know that this was permissible? When you're sworn in by the board, you swear under oath that you understand the rules and regulations of this board. And you
She
also
have,
own
yeah.
restaurants in other parts of the state?
I have my own restaurant, but Luz, she's gonna be the manager, but she had no idea that it was a family thing. And then
Okay.
in the meeting, we start talking about the coming up place, and they say, when we're gonna invite us? I said, why we don't go with there? And in the way there, we get the beer and the food, and that's what happened. Then one of my cousin start singing for the lady that get married. So that's when it caused basically the loud music. I really have no idea. I'm so sorry. Have no idea that it was gonna be that big. We was not allowed to bring any people to the place since we
Okay.
were.
Is there anyone on the hearing today that can testify as to how much alcohol was there? I don't know if it's Boston Police, if anyone was there with actual knowledge. Was this a case of beer or had they set up for a wedding reception?
Ma'am, my recollection is that they had a bar and a bartender, and that they were also serving food. What I did note was that it did not appear that any money was being transferred, but they did have what appeared to be an employee behind the bar.
Attorney Barnowski, do you want to respond to that? That doesn't really line up with a couple people and some beer.
Perhaps I'll ask Mr. Prestiato, could you clarify as to whether that the individual that was, number one, if there was an individual that was serving drinks, and two, if that was an employee or any sort of paid personnel?
No, we had basically no one. It was our family there.
Okay. All right, thank you. Commissioner Curran or Commissioner Saxon, do you have any questions?
I don't. Thank you.
I have none. Thank you.
Thank you. The board will take this matter under advisement. Number 8, Perkins Square Restaurant LLC, DBA Fat Baby Sushi and Cocktails, location 118 Dorchester Street, South Boston. Violation number 047989, date of the incident 8/10/21, overcrowding. 144 found on mechanical count, capacity 117, house count 112, in violation of Mass General Law, Chapter 138, Section 64, and Board's Rule 1.03J, 1.06A, and F. Who is here on behalf of the licensee?
Attorney Dennis Quilty, and with me is Michael Shaw from the establishment.
And who is present on behalf of the Boston Police Department?
I'll be reading the report.
Can you raise your right hand? Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Mr. Shaw, you gotta take yourself off mute. Sorry.
I do.
Thank you. Detective Hernandez?
Good morning. I'll be reading from Police Report, which I wrote on Tuesday, August 10th, 2021, signed Detective William Gallagher and Detective Eddie Hernandez, signed to the BPD licensed premise unit, conducted license and premise inspection of Fat Baby Sushi located at 118 Dorchester Street in South Boston. As detectives walked inside the establishment, detectives asked the front door staff what the count of patrons inside was. The staff member stated that he had a count of 112 patrons. While reviewing the licenses and permits of the establishment, detectives learned that the capacity for the premises set at 117 persons. Detective Hernandez performed a mechanical count of the establishment, and it discovered that the actual number of persons located inside the premises was 144. Detectives brought this to the attention of the person in charge, Mr. Casey Chapin. Ms. Chapin stated that she would bring the establishment into compliance as a result of what detectives observed. Sergeant Detective Gallagher issued license premise inspection notice 047989 for overcrowding of the 7. Ms. Chapin signed for and accepted the new notice. That's all.
Thank you, Detective. Attorney Quilty?
Thank you, ma'am. Detective, did the establishment cooperate with you?
Yes, sir.
And when you arrived, was there rather a staff person outside keeping a count of the capacity?
Yes, sir.
And that person suggested he or she had 112 on their clicker?
Yep. Yes, sir.
Okay. And you brought this to the attention of the manager and they immediately complied?
Yes.
And I'm not aware, do you have any have there been other issues with this establishment? I'm unaware that they've had any violations at all in the last 4 years they've been in business.
I believe we've had noise complaints there.
But nothing that became a violation hearing at the licensing board.
I'm pretty sure there's been at least one.
Okay. All right, thank you, sir. But no issues like of this nature that you're aware of. Okay.
No.
Thank you, sir. I have no further questions. Madam Chair, Mr. Joyce is with us and can provide some further information if that's allowed.
Sure.
Thank you. Mr. Shaw, you've been sworn in. Just state your name for the record, please.
Michael Shaw.
And you're the one of the owners and one of the operators of this establishment?
Yeah, I am.
Okay. And do you generally keep a person outside keeping account of the capacity?
Yes.
And do you your capacity stated as 117?
Yes.
And then do you generally keep a lower number as a count outside?
Yeah, it's a sit-down restaurant, save for a few nights over the last 4 years. So we typically, we have somebody outside, somebody who keeps account, but we typically don't exceed 117 or have to put a line out front to keep capacity, just because of the nature of the business.
Okay. And was there anything, particular? This was a Tuesday night in the middle of the summer. Anything particular about this night in the operation of the business?
I don't recall specifically, but there could have been an event going on. Yeah. I'd have to talk to Casey.
Okay. And did you, following this, did you meet with the staff and make any changes to the procedures?
Yeah, every time that we have a violation, there's a mandatory staff meeting and then a retraining kind of going over whatever the issue was.
And in this case, did you do that, especially with regard to capacity and keeping the proper count?
Yes.
Okay. Do you believe that your individual had a proper count going on that night?
I'd like to think so, but I also trust that these guys come in and our places are monitored closely in South Boston. So if they had 144, then it was 144.
Okay. Thank you, sir. I have no further questions. The board may have some questions for you.
I'm just curious, did you guys have outdoor dining in this space in
We
August?
did. Yes.
Okay. I don't have any further questions. Commissioner Curran or Commissioner Saxon, did you?
I don't, thank you.
Nothing further from me. Thank you.
Thank you. The board will take this matter under advisement.
Thank you.
Number 9, Boston Wings LLC, DBA Wingstop, location 173 Border Street, East Boston. Violation number 060210. Date of the incident 9/19/21. Expired common victualler license in violation of Mass General Law, Chapter 140. Who is here on behalf of the licensee? Is there anyone here on behalf of Wingstop in East Boston?
We'll do a second call, Maureen, and we'll move on.
Okay. Number 10, Blanchard's Inc., DBA Blanchard's. Location 99 to 103 Harvard Ave, Alston, Mass. Violation number 060289. Date of the incident 10/30/21. Consumption of alcohol in front of premise in violation of Mass General Law, Chapter 138, Section 64. Who is present on behalf of the licensee?
Morning, it's Stephen Miller, McDermott, Quilty and Miller. Also on is John Corey with his son Christopher Corey, and I believe the manager of the day might be on also, but at least John Corey, who's the manager of record, and his son Christopher are on also, who are.
I'm the manager of record. My camera says Cindy L, unfortunately.
You're the manager of the day.
Yes.
Thank you.
And,
That's Chris. That's Chris Lyons. I'm sorry.
and who is present on behalf of the Boston Police Department?
I am.
Can you raise your right hand? Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
We do.
Thank you. And who's reading the police report into record?
I will be reading a police report, which I wrote on Saturday, October 30th, 2021 at about 9:30 p.m. Sergeant Detective William Gallagher, Detective Eddie Hernandez assigned to the License Premise Unit monitoring the sale of alcohol to underage patrons at liquor stores. While pulling up to Blanchard's liquor store located at 99 Harvard Ave, detectives noticed two individuals standing in front of the store exit. Two individuals later identified as Eli Torgensen and Zoe Sparks were observed drinking a can of cider and a can of beer. Mr. Torgensen will be summoned to court for possession, personnel to possession of alcohol and for drinking an alcoholic beverage in public. Sparks will be summoned to court for delivering alcohol to a person under 21 years of age and for drinking alcoholic beverage in public. As a result of what detectives were, Sergeant Detective Gallagher issued license premise inspection notice 060289 to Blanchard Liquor Store for consumption of alcohol in front of premise. Manager Chris Lyons signed for an accepted notice. That's all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Attorney Miller?
Thank you. Detective, did the staff cooperate with you?
Fully, sir.
And did you have an opportunity that night to view any videos or well, actually, I think it was Halloween night or the night before Halloween or whatever. So I assume you guys had a lot of work to do, but you've not viewed any videos?
No, sir, I have not.
Thank you. So, Madam Chair, yesterday I delivered up to the board a copy of a video showing this whole incident and also a statement from Blanchard's and some other documents, some shots taken from the video showing the two people that were seen by the police on the public sidewalk in front of Blanchard's. Also, I sent up reports showing that on that day, we did not sell any of the hard cider, and we did not sell any Pabst Blue Ribbon beer within at least 2 hours prior to this incident. Furthermore, if you look at the video, it shows the two individuals coming around the corner from Brighton Ave, turning the corner onto Harvard Ave with the alcohol in their hands and walking the approximate 150 feet to the bus stop, which is right in front of the store. From the time on the video, from the time that they made it to the front of the store to the time that police saw them was approximately 3 minutes. Blanchard's has 78 cameras on the interior and the exterior, so they were able to get the camera shot of them walking around the corner at Brighton Ave onto Harvard Ave. But the whole incident from the time they were actually outside on the public sidewalk by the bus stop was approximately 3 minutes. The manager at the way the store is set up, the manager at Blanchard's is in a position or elevated position. So besides monitoring what goes on in the store, he does have the opportunity to look to the exterior of the premises. However, it was a busy night and the whole thing took place in less than 3 minutes. So we've just, there's really, I do have, if the board wanted it, I can send over, I have 70 pages of our cash register reports for that evening showing what was sold, but I didn't think the board wanted to go through that. So we just took the excerpts for you.
Thank you.
I have nothing further. I mean, there's nothing else we could have done. It was a busy night. You know, the police saw these people, they're out in front of our premises, but we didn't have the opportunity to do much else other than just respond to the police. And we went through all our records to make sure that, number one, they didn't come from our store, which they did not. And that, you know, we acted appropriately and quickly to respond to the incident.
Thank you, Attorney Miller. Chairwoman Joyce?
I have no questions. Commissioner Saxon or Commissioner Curran?
I don't have any questions either. Thank you.
Neither do I. Thank you.
Thank you. The board will take this matter under advisement. Second call for Johnny's.
Thank you.
Thank you. Second call for Johnny's on the Side LLC, DBA West End Johnny's. Is there anybody present on behalf of the licensee?
Maureen, can you confirm that the licensee was served?
They were hand served by Sergeant Gallagher and Detective Hernandez.
Okay, we're going to read the police report into the record then.
Lieutenant Detective Troy, if I could.
Thank you.
Raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
About 12:09 on Friday, August 28th, 2021, Officer Gady and Hassan received a radio call for a verbal confrontation at 138 Portland Street in front of the bar West End Johnny's. On arrival, officers were informed by security staff working there that one of their patrons was unable to stand up or walk due to being heavily intoxicated. Officers walked the victim, Mr. Carew, observed the victim laying on the ground. Mr. Carew was incoherent and could barely speak or keep his eyes open. He fell forward on several occasions, attempting to stand up. While attempting to assist the victim, he began swearing at officers and became verbally or physically aggressive. Mr. Carew was placed in handcuffs for officer safety, and EMS and a patrol supervisor were summoned. Sergeant Downey arrived on scene and issued a license premise violation number 6064 to West End Johnny's. Mr. Carew was transported by ambulance and escorted to Mass General by officers. That's the extent of the police report.
Thank you,
All right.
Lieutenant Detective Troy.
I just want to confirm that there's no one else here who wishes to testify about this incident. And with that, we'll note that the licensee did not show up.
I'm sorry, Chairwoman, if there's a supplemental report to this incident.
Okay, sorry about
written by Sergeant Downey, and on Saturday morning, August 28th, by 12:20, Sergeant Downey conducted a license premise inspection in West End Johnny's, 138 Portland Street, as a result of a radio call for a disturbance outside the front entrance. Officers had found staff members from the bar interacting with a highly intoxicated male who was served alcoholic beverages as a patron inside the establishment. The highly intoxicated patron was uncooperative and aggressive with staff and other patrons. Boston EMS was dispatched and transported the highly intoxicated individual for Mass General for evaluation. Mr. Arthur Medeiros was cooperative throughout the inspection and had all required license permits prominently displayed on the wall near the bar. License inspection notice was issued for an establishment over-serving a patron, and that's the extent of the supplemental report.
Okay, thank you. And with that, I think that concludes today's hearing.
Those are the items before the board. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.